Now, the Fisher King is called the Fisher King because apparently spends all of his time out in a boat fishing. And there are parallels there to Jesus being, making the disciples fishers of men. And so there's some allusion there. But the idea is he's waiting. He's waiting to be healed. So now when whoever it was, Galahad or Percival, when they come back and now they have become their official person, they've lost their innocence, they're now who they are. They ask the question, and there's two versions of the question in the various stories. One of the versions of the question is, whom does the Grail serve? And the other version of the question is, what ails you? And what's interesting about this tale is that it is the asking of the question that turns the lock in the key and begins the resurrection, if you will, of the Fisher King. And, one of the interesting implications of this, and one of the reasons I was thinking about it was, of course, in terms of dialogue, but also in terms of Levinas, whom we've spoken of before in our episodes with the tutor, Professor Claudia Hauer. If you go back in our guest episodes, we'll talk about the idea of a new ethics. Well, this idea that sort of is the foundation of this new ethics is that the encountering of what Emmanuel Levinas calls the face of the other, we are faced with a moral obligation that's represented by that other. And so the question, whom does the Grail serve, or what ails you, sort of represents the knight, the one who has been lifted from their state of innocence and now has developed all these virtues through encountering the world, is now in a position to not be worried about himself and whether he's going to say the right thing or he's actually in a position to put his attention on the other. So in the language of Levinas, they might say he has stopped totalizing everything according to the standards in his own head, like he did when he was the young fool, and now has actually created an opening through which the other can enter, if you will. And so that turns the whole game around. Now the wasteland is fertile again. Now the king comes back to health. Now everything is once again chingon.